Welcome back to Nick Lenz's movie review, episode 151. This I'm reviewing technically the most recent film released by Sony. It is Venom, released only about 3 years ago. Yes, as you see by the cover, Venom Eddie Brock is played by Tom Hardy, who I think is a lot better choice than Topher Grace. For one thing, he's muscularly a lot bigger than Topher Grace. Thank God they actually made the mistake, because Topher Grace was too thin. Tom Hardy is actually pretty muscular. He's not big. He's not huge like normally Venom is normally at least Eddie Brock is. But at least he actually looks like he put on some freaking muscle instead of being freaking like a twig. Now, there's also a brief cameo by John Jameson here. A small role in the movie, but this movie's got a ton of brand new characters. We have Anna Wong. Yes. Eddie Brock's in the movie ex-fiance, in the comics, ex-wife, and the mother of his only child. Yeah, that was actually done like not long after the release of this movie. In the awesome Danny Dakota's run for the book, which is really, really good. This movie also has the live-action debut of the Life Foundation. Yes, a group of basically businessmen who hunted Venom and the symbiotes along with Spider-Man frequently over the years. They currently don't exist anymore. Yeah, because the company apparently filed bankruptcy in the comics. Yep. Its first appearance was actually back in Amazing Spider-Man 298. Interesting. Which is actually quite cool the fact they did that. Yep. Where in the comics they're like a small firm. In the movie, they're a big genetics corporation. Now we have Carlton Drake. He appears in the movie. In the movie, he's CEO. The guy who's Chief Force is actually on the comic books. His name is Donald. Let's see if I can find his name here. Here he is. Ronald Trace played by Sam Hayes. Now, Anna Wong is played by, of course, Michelle Williams. Great actress. Yes. Now, how the Venom symbiote gets to Earth is via spaceship. Apparently, a Life Foundation spaceship, which is off in space, basically picks up this meteorite. It's got goo inside of which will be symbiotes. Now, one thing I at least appreciated with this movie, I thought this was so cool, is the fact Eddie Brock used to work for the Daily Globe. Which, wow, the first mention of the Daily Globe in live action? That's actually pretty cool. If you don't know what Daily Globe is, it's another newspaper in the Marvel Comics universe that actually doesn't exist anymore. Nope, they don't exist. At one point, Peter Parker actually worked for them. Yeah, he did. It was one of his brief stints between that and Daily Bugle. In some way, Daily Globe was kind of supposed to be like a slightly altered version of Daily Planet per se, but Daily Globe was something else altogether. And it was a paper that Eddie Brock worked for in the comics. In the comics, he was also apparently a terrible reporter. In the movie, he's actually pretty competent. And so he gets fired from that, though he gets hired, and then he gets let go due to stuff related to the Life Foundation. When he starts asking questions, he probably should get answers to, but they kicked him out anyways. And then eventually later on, he breaks the facility and just happens to come across the symbiotes, and he gets host to one of them, aka the Venom symbiote. And it's also shown that apparently Venom was like Eddie, a very lazy guy. Very laid back and basically a rebel. And he's also said, yeah, I also decided to stay to basically try and conquer the planet. Like, okay, this is quite cool. And of course, Eddie Brock does kind of in a way take down the leader of the Life Foundation, Carlton Drake, who became the host of the Rot symbiote, which apparently hopped between various different people before it got into him. And they try to go back to space, so Venom basically sabotages the flight. They have a big brawl in the movie, which I thought was really cool. And he's defeated. And we also have this wonderful scene where the symbiote is briefly separated from Eddie. And, like, apparently Anna gets briefly host to it. And kind of comes She-Venom, and they actually make out when she is basically host of the symbiote. And they mention later, like, what about that kid? It's like, oh. That's something they brought up. And, of course, the Venom symbiote is like, she should stay with us. And several times, basically, in the movie, he refers to the Venom symbiote as a parasite, which I thought was a joke. And several times he's trying to basically eat Eddie's liver, which, okay, that's actually quite funny, but it's something he didn't do in the comic books, but okay. Yep. Now, the whole movie is not in New York. Nope. It is in San Francisco, which, okay, a different pace. Now, this movie is heavily inspired by the Venom Lethal Predator series, which I heard about this part of that. Yep. Now, my mom was not a really big fan of the Venom character because, of course, Venom is just goo. And this movie is just pure fun. And it's probably, for Sony's outing, a lot better than Amazing Spider-Man 2, per se. Mm-hmm. The movie only runs, like, just a little over 2 hours. Yeah, it runs at almost 2 hours, like an hour and 52 minutes, which, not bad, per se. And then, of course, at the end of the movie, Eddie Brock has got an interview. With who? Well, it's been 3 years, I can spoil this. He goes to prison and interviews Cletus Cassidy. And where he says, "Let there be carnage." I know that my friends basically poke fun at basically his hair. Where they say it looked like a McDonald's wig. When I saw, like, wow, that's actually spot on what his hair looks like in the comics. And Woody Harrelson is kind of old to play Carnage, but okay, fine. At least I have Shriek in the next movie. That's going to be interesting. Mm-hmm. Yep. But for a Stan Lee movie, it's actually pretty good. Now, there is a cameo by Stan Lee. Now you're probably thinking, Stan Lee making a cameo movie where none of the characters are his creation? Because the characters associated with Spider-Man, and probably Stan Lee probably owed somebody at Sony a favor. And probably also the director probably loves his cameos anyways. He probably figured out, okay, he's from Spider-Man comics, so let's have Stan Lee, the creator of Spider-Man, well, one of the co-creators of Spider-Man, make cameos as a dog walker, which, okay. And he briefly chats with Eddie Brock, which, that's quite interesting. Now, here's the thing. In case you're curious, though, did he briefly interact with any of the previous Spider-Man? He did with Tobey Maguire. Did with him for like one brief scene. He ended with his going to catchphrase, "Neff said." And in the case of Andrew Garfield, he didn't exactly have a one-on-one conversation with him, but he did have a brief interaction with him. But this is just pretty interesting. And Tom Hardy plays it off as being very respectful to Stan Lee, which, thank you, Tom Hardy, for doing that, because how much respect Stan Lee has gotten over the years. Yeah, I'm sure that probably it's probably very genuine on his part to be respected to Stan Lee. But this also was one of Stan Lee's last cameos he did. Not exactly his last ever cameo. That came in Avengers Endgame because the guy passed away. Yep. For a film that came out 3 years ago, it's actually pretty good. It's fun. I can't wait for the next movie, which coming out this year. Yep. Coming out this year, surprisingly. With Woody Harrelson basically back as Cassidy. Now, aside from him and Ada Wong and Eddie Brock, two new characters. We have Dan Lewis, I think he's from the last movie, and Naomi Harris as Shriek. Hopefully they do a better job with Shriek's makeup than what Deadpool did with frickin' Domino. Though this is not the only Spider-Man, related character getting a movie coming out. There's another one coming out next year. Morbius. Yes, Morbius. I'm like, that's interesting. And he's going to be played by Jared Leto. Cool. Yep, and this is coming out next year. Basically the start of next year, which comes out in January. I'm like, wow, that's quite something. Yeah, apparently this movie was supposed to come out last year, but was delayed. But 2 years? Wow, that's something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Otherwise, that's pretty much it for this particular review. Yeah, Venom is simply put just a fun movie to watch. And when I saw it in theaters 3 years ago, I had a blast watching this movie. I originally watched the movie online, and I saw it in theaters. And I just enjoyed myself. It's a very good movie to watch. And at least the people were not going to be so stupid and having dumb parts to it. Now, I think that the guy who directed the second movie, I believe he's also the same person who directed the first one. Oh no, it's directed by Andy Serkis, which is interesting. Yeah, Andy Serkis taking over the movie. The last movie he did was Mowgli in the Jungle, which came out 3 years ago. First movie he did was Breathe. So this will be his third movie. Like Andy Serkis, that's interesting. Because when I think of Andy Serkis, I think of basically a guy with motion capture. Mm-hmm. It was like Kong, Lord of the Rings, but this could be quite interesting. Now, who directed the last movie? This one? That is done by Ruben Fleischer. Fleischer, I think I'd say pronounce the guy's name. Yeah, he's known for directing Zombieland, Gangster Squad, 30 Minutes or Less. Like, not many movies he's directed. Oh no, it's like 1, 2. This is only like his fourth movie he ever directed. And he directed 2 others after this one. Zombieland Double Tap, which sequels Zombieland, which is the first movie. And he's doing the Uncharted movie. Coming out next year. Yeah. For someone directing only 4 movies, it's actually not that bad. It's just pure fun. Though it has a funny ending to it, the little like shot basically where Eddie Brock lives, this convenience store, where Venom basically is like, is that a bad guy? He says, can I eat him? He's like, yeah. And the Venom symbiote just eats the criminal. Which, okay, that was funny. Yes. Yeah, you gotta love the intentional humor in this movie. Despite the fact this is supposed to be sort of a horror movie, but sci-fi horror, but just pure fun. Yep. So yeah, that's it for Sick Review, and that's going to be a video today. Tomorrow, I expect to see reviews for One Piece, My Hero Academia, and Boruto, along with at least one movie review that I can think of. Yeah, one. Where, okay, in case you're curious, what I'm going to discuss next 2 episodes, it's the Tim Miller Fantastic Four movies. Yes, I'm discussing those 2 movies in the next 2 episodes. But after that, I don't know. I have to think about it. Yep. But it's next video. Bye.